Here we go.
Welcome from the IIBA Tampa Bay, Florida chapter study group. This is June 8th of 2023. This is our 81st class. Today, we're going to be going over the techniques of data mining and use cases and scenarios. Our mission here is to bridge the gap between industry leaders and business analysts by building partnerships with professionals, educators, and employers so that we may empower, instruct, and engage the BA community. Our BA community is worldwide. We have people from all over the world that use our recordings as well as attend our study groups, and we welcome you. If you are using our recordings and we don't get to meet you in person, send us something on LinkedIn. Let us know that our work is impacting you. You can reach us in a variety of ways. This is our normal Thursday night study group. We are here from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. You can reach us on the past meeting recordings at this link. Cliff will be dropping that into the chat in just a moment. We also have an IIBA website, Meetup, Zoom, Facebook, and LinkedIn groups. So I guarantee you can reach us if you want to. Watermark Learning has been our sponsor for goodness, over a year now, almost 2 years. They have given us a discount code of Tampa Space 21. It gives you a 20% discount off of anything you purchase from them. They not only have business analysis topics, but they also have a couple of other topics. In their business analysis, they have flashcards, classes, practice study questions, a variety of things that are beneficial, and we've been able to use the practice study questions here in our class. Our organization is volunteer-led. Our board is led by Cliff Gray. You can see him here in the Millennium Falcon. Yulia is our Vice President of Finance. She's right here. Caitlin and Priscilla are board members at large. My name is Thea Soren. I'm the Vice President of Career and Professional Development for the organization. It's my job to help you learn what you want to learn and benefits you in any way we can. We're always looking for additional board members or volunteers. If you're interested, reach out to Cliff or myself. We are also privileged to have some CBAPs on our staff here. Bob Churchill has earned his CBAP certification along with a variety of other things. He has a website at rpchurchill.com. He not only has the things that he presents during this study group, but a variety of other study groups and classes that he provides. Not only business analysis related, he's got mechanical engineering, simulations, all kinds of really interesting things. And he also has a website that an email that you can reach out if you have any questions or improvements. Yulia is also here with our CBAP staff. These folks have volunteered their time to be here. Their attendance here makes this hour something you can use for your education credit. So thank you to both of you. We are privileged to have several people that have earned certifications after being students here and given us some credit. Bonnie, Frank, Renew, and recently Nino, Yulia, Tish have all been students here and gotten their CBAP. Just recently, Nino posted this on LinkedIn, giving credit to some of us. And I want you to know he's also been a vice president of his local IIBA chapter for quite a while. So I really am appreciative that not only did he pursue business analysis, but he's giving back to his local community in the Philippines. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Yulia. She's going to talk about data mining. And then Bob is going to go through use cases and scenarios. So I will stop sharing, Yulia, and give you the screen.
Okay, guys. It would be great while I'm speaking. You could engage with me, Sherry, Doris, Alessandra, Ashish, Renu. If you can join, it would be great. That it would be two-way street, not just one where I talk and that's it, and nothing happens. Okay, let me share the screen. Okay, this topic is interest of mine. In future, I would love to focus my career there because I think it's a future, our future, because everything is data. Literally everything is becoming digitized. That's why I want to focus my career there. To prepare for these slides, I used BABOK, of course, and I used two books. Becoming a Data Head is a book I'm reading right now. I found it accidentally, and it's a very nice book about machine learning, about statistics and data science overall. And if you have basic understanding of statistics, it would be a comfortable read for you. So I really advise it. And another book, it's Forecasting and Predictive Analytics. I used it in my master's class. And I used some materials from there as well. Also a nice read, by the way. Very simple language. If you're interested in it, you can purchase it and just read it on your own, and you're going to be completely fine. Okay, before we are gonna dive into technique itself, I thought it's gonna be fun to define what data is. I found this information from the book, Becoming a Data Head. So they define data how? They say that everything comes from information. Information is derived from knowledge, from many activities. It could be thinking about something, looking at art, debating a subject, or measuring a process. So it's anything. And once you try to communicate and store that information, it becomes a data. And to communicate and store information, you need to do encoding. And usually encoding is done by encoding it numeric data or categorical data. We already heard about it many times. We know that two data types are numeric and categorical. Numeric is just numbers, can be discrete, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or continuous, 1.2, 1.3, and etc. Categorical, you can call it some kind of label, right? Nominal is just label, does not have any specific order, and ordinal is that you have a specific order in mind and it must be in order. So if once information is communicated and stored by encoding, it's became a data. And then I thought it's interesting to demystify the question, is data is plural or singular? Because in business we say data is, right? But to my disappointment, data is plural word of a singular word called datum. But again, in all business books, in all classes, and business word is used as a singular term. But I just thought it would be nice to know that, oh no, it's actually plural, not singular. But it's okay to use it as singular word. Okay, so BABOK defines data mining as is used to improve decision making, to find useful patterns and insights from large amount of data. I agree with this definition because data mining is all about finding out patterns, insights, and relationship. And the result of data mining techniques is some kind of mathematical model or equation which can be used for decision making. And this is what BABOK also says, right? The result of data mining techniques is generally mathematical models or equation that describe patterns and relationship. And these models then can be deployed for human decision making through visual dashboards and reports, which we are using daily in our work. A little bit terminology, I found it useful. So this is obviously made up a data set of hours of study and exam grade. Column can be called variable, attribute, predictors, fields, features. Honestly, in the past, I knew only variable and attribute. Predictors, fields, and features is a new terminology for me. But I think it's nice to know in case if you are having conversation with your team and somebody's using these words. So now you know what it means. Row, it's observation, records, tuplets, or trials. And grade of 78 for 3 hours of study is a data point. And let's become a little bit fancy and learn some data mining terminology. So in statistics, we know dependent variable. In data mining, it's going to be target variable or output variable. Model can be called algorithm. Explanatory variable can be called attribute or feature. Observation, record, and your forecast, what you are trying to predict, can be a score. So remember it and use these fancy words with your team. They're going to appreciate it.
Impress them.
Yes. Okay.
You know, it's funny that you say that, because it's secondhand to at least me, some of these terms, and I never even thought about, you know, especially when English is a second language or third language or fourth language, and you're not like most Americans where we only have one language. So it's funny to take that approach. Because actually some of those terms that you're saying are database terms. So like a field or a record is from a database perspective, rather than, you know, some of the others.
But it's like interchangeable terms, right? Like features. The book I'm reading, Data Head, right? Becoming Data Head. They call a variable feature, right? So I like, this is new. And that's why I made this for myself. It's actually my note. I like, okay, to remember it. So this is from my notes. And I'm getting used to a word algorithm. So instead of model, algorithm. So this is more becoming comfortable with the language, and that understanding those data mining is actually not that scary as it seems, right? And everybody can understand it and probably do it too. So data mining methods, right? They divide into supervised or unsupervised. Nothing complicated, honestly. Supervised is when you know what you are looking for. You know your business questions, your question you want to answer. For example, okay, I want to predict number of sales. Or I want to know if somebody is going to buy it or not. Or I want to know if my customer is going to default on loan or not. So basically, you know, you have a question in mind. Unsupervised learning is a purely exploratory research. You just do a deep dive into data and, okay, let's see what I'm going to find out. So you have no clue what is going on there. So at least this couple of models in BABOK, they called modeling techniques. I disagree. I never heard of it. Modeling techniques, it sounds weird. It's better to call them data mining methods or algorithms. So this is just an example of few most popular used models in the field. And my goal is not to teach you what it is, but just introduce you and to get you curious that you would go out and learn it on your own. Because obviously it's impossible to cover in this session. It's I spent some time learning these models. Okay, let's go to supervised. Right, you remember supervised is, you know what you are looking for. It's divided to prediction and classification. Prediction is when you want a number, and classification when you want a label like buy or not to buy, fail or not to fail, success, and etc. So in prediction, the most popular, our favorite, linear regressions, linear or multiple regressions. We already heard about it a lot from our statistics class in school, and it predicts a number. Regression tree and classification tree, they kind of go together, and it's called CART, right? C-A-R-T. It's mentioned in BABOK, but of course they're breaking down. When you want to predict a number, you use regression tree. When you want to classify a label, buy or not to buy, you use classification tree. In classification, you can see I listed KNN, K nearest neighbor, logit regression, and classification tree. KNN, K nearest neighbor, is you can classify as many labels as you like, and basically from high level, it's classified labels based on distance. But mathematics are very complicated. That's why the word k-nearest neighbor. Logit regression, you can call it also logistic regression, is a regression, but not linear regression. It's a not linear relationship, right? It's used to predict probability. For example, what probability of a customer to buy a membership, for example, and it's a give you probability from 0 to 1. Any questions so far? Nope.
No. To add to that, Yulia, one of the things we're playing with at Microsoft is, of course, AI, and like one of the tools we use is customer insights. So, you know, the supervised and unsupervised, it's getting very interesting to let an AI loose on multiple data sets that you have no idea if there's relationships or anything else, and see what it comes back with. It's scary and impressive what they can do. So like as a company, if you have a list of people, and then in another table you have a list of people with their email addresses, and then another table you have shopping that people have done, and maybe they have a phone number, an email address or something like that, and the ability for it to give you a full picture across all these different data sets without even thinking about it is just, it's scary but cool.
Yeah, that's why it's very interesting, and I thought I would never ever be able to do it, but I'm doing it, so that's why I want to focus my career there. And okay, let's go unsupervised. It's something you have no idea what is it, and you're just gonna, it's exploratory research, also called descriptive. So you're gonna dive into data and see what you can find. And the most popular is clustering and association rules. Clustering, as it sounds, you algorithm k-means, it's called k-means, is going to cluster your data into distinct clusters. The interesting thing is that with this algorithm, you need to set how many clusters you want, right? And then play with it and see, look at these clusters if it makes sense. Is it better 3 clusters, 4 clusters, 5 or 6? That's why everybody's afraid of AI taking a job. No, AI can do the job, but only human can understand if it's correct. You understand? Association rule. Yeah. They agree with me.
I was just answering you.
Yeah, and association rules is algorithm which will identify which items goes together. Like, for example, in supermarket, supermarket can look what items are frequently bought together, and then make some business decisions based on that. And it's used actually a lot of in marketing. I think it's called market basket or something like that. It's alternative name for that. And yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of association rules in markets. Go to the grocery store, and on end cap, you're going to see marshmallows, graham crackers, and chocolate candy bars, because that is how you make a s'more. But it makes sense that they would market them together because people want those 3 items. They're from 3 different parts of the store otherwise.
I remember funny example from my class: beer and diapers. Frequently bought together. Yes.
Okay.
Or milk, by the way, beer and milk. And actually in my local Publix, they are together, they next to each other.
Or is one the result of another?
Or Amazon, you're shopping on Amazon, right? You're buying something and he's like, hey, maybe you would like this stuff. So Amazon was the first one who will get so good association rules and gave you those recommendations. Netflix movies, the same story, right? They give you recommendation based on this association rule algorithm. Yeah, Bob?
I was just going to say, you should understand what all these techniques are and do, and the limitations of them. They are not any kind of super intelligent AI. They're fairly straightforward classification things. Their real power is looking through large piles of data and making some kinds of decisions based on them. So you should not take a random segment of data and just throw algorithms at it and see what pops up. You should always know what you're doing and why with these things.
Yeah, and it's one of limitations we are going to talk about, but yeah, it's true. And statistical software becomes so cheap, it's not actually even expensive to run in an organization anymore. And I don't know if it's going to be surprise for you or not. Surprise, this is your machine learning.
Yeah.
And
Sure,
machine
cheap
learning
courses on Udemy where you can program this yourself in Python or R or whatever.
I mean, if this is what turns you on, I guess, but yeah, I definitely don't want to program it myself. And you know, just before our call, I was thinking, is machine learning the same as artificial intelligence? I asked myself, to be honest, and it's actually not. Machine learning is a tool for artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So artificial intelligence learn how to think like a human by using machine learning.
Yeah.
So I just wanted, I mean, I don't know, it's just pop up in my head. Is it the same? I don't know, just out of blue. And I Googled, I found an answer.
From an AI bot.
Yes, the answer is from the AI bot.
Okay, so favorite elements. There are 5 elements. First one, requirements elicitation. So very 2.5 paragraph of a very complicated language, which basically says that why you do data mining. Ask, what is the goal, right? What is the business value behind it? And if you know the answer, it will help you with your data preparation, right? It's going to help you to prepare the data set, to find the data you need to answer that question. And I actually forgot to mention right on this slide that you always split your data set into training data set and validation data set. So what it is, in training data set, usually the golden rule, it could be 80% of the whole data set, 80% goes to training, 20 to validation. This is like a standard, right, Cliff? 80-20, correct? But I mean, it's just by default kind of, but you can pick whatever, right? 60, 40, 70, 30, up to you. You are free to do it. So in training data set, that portion of your whole data set, you use the data set and you train your model. You tweak what you need, you achieve your perfection, whatever error score you need. And they're like, okay, I'm happy with the model. Now let's apply this model and use in validation data set, because model never sees the validation data set. And this is where real test comes of your model. If your model did better or the same, like in training data set, it means you have a good model. If your model did very poorly in validation data set, it means your model is overfitted. Basically, it's rubbish. You need to come back and redo it, or maybe try a different model. So it's very, very important training and validation sets. Right?
Add, Hey, Yulia. So just wanted to add the first point that you've mentioned, why you do data mining, what is the goal? So we can also say that we have to frame the research question very in the right words. So if a question that we are looking, why we are doing data mining, so we have to frame the question very well. So we are targeting the right data, we are sourcing the right data, and our analyses are in those directions. So Just an
Yeah.
addition there.
Thank you. And generally, you know what I found when you at work, somebody's ask you to do something, always ask why. What is the goal? Does it deliver any business value? Right. So it's just like my personal experience. Always ask why and what business value it brings. Sometimes organizations do project for the sake of doing project, but it's in that and end up in a trash because it doesn't bring any value at the end of the day. Okay, once you know your question, you prepare your data set, you divided your set, right, into training and validation sets. Then you can do data analysis. Data analysis, it means like kind of exploratory, right? You just look at the data to see what the data you are dealing with, like what distribution, do you have any missing data, maybe outliers, stuff like that. So I think what they are talking about is basically use descriptive statistics to understand your data and do any adjustments if you need to. And then once you set it up, everything is ready, you can choose your modeling technique. No, we are going to choose data mining technique, not modeling technique, but for BABOK, remember modeling technique. So we select data mining technique, which is the best suits for your question, obviously, and for your data. Then you train your model and you check model for your accuracy, right? By looking how it performs in validation set. And you pick the best. And sometimes, not sometimes, you can use ensemble model. Can I type it? No, I need to, yes, I can. Hold on, I'm gonna type it. Ensemble. I think it's a French. Ensemble, it means together. So you can combine different models together and achieve even better accuracy. And fifth, deployment. Deployment is basically means making your model available to your stakeholder, right? The stakeholder can use that model to make business decisions. And I added the 6 ones, it's just for me. So it's going to give you an insight, obviously, just act on it.
Very nice.
Hold on, I have one more slide, but it's not moving. Okay. Usage considerations, right? Strengths, obviously, we talked about patterns, insights, relationship. Then it says this can be integrated into organizational data infrastructure. You can automate it. And the last one, eliminate and reduce human bias. So what it means is that if somebody is skeptical, you can use data and provide that facts, right? Hey, no, the data says this. So you cannot insist on your opinion because we have a backup. And limitation basically is that you need to understand the techniques, right? You don't need to know how to code it, but you need to understand its limitations, understand when to use them, how to use them, or otherwise you can get in really big trouble and make very wrong predictions. Then data mining techniques, as I already said, they are very mathematical oriented and heavy, and sometimes for users it can be difficult to understand. And if stakeholders, it's something difficult to understand, they are going to resist it. It's another limitation. And so it says results may be hard to deploy if decision making poorly understood. Yeah, like your business question, why you are doing it. So if you don't know why you're doing it, what business value it brings, and you don't have your question properly posed, what you're gonna do with it? You can look at it, okay, very nice, beautiful dashboard. Thank you, bye-bye. And it's gonna just die where it is. And that's it. Let's talk about it more.
One of the things we've come up with in my company is we realized that we had a bunch of bad data. We didn't have consistent data. We had data that was duplicated in multiple systems or applications. It was updated in some applications and not in others. So we began a master data management effort to just clean up our data. If you try to do data mining with bad data, with trash data, you're going to get trash results. So it's important that you have clean data to start with. What that means, what is clean data, is you've got to create those rules yourself. We've had to go through a process of identifying what is a customer. If you use customer in 5 different ways in 5 different systems, you can't consolidate that information. How they have the naming conventions for the customers' names. What is the format for phone numbers? All kinds of things that you think that's basic, but whenever you're doing data mining, you need to do apples to apples. And so it's really important that you know where your data is coming from, not just what you want to get done with it.
Yeah, and actually in my organization, we have a whole department. It's called MDA, mastering data management. This is what you were talking about. So if I am as a business user, I already get the clean data. So the data goes through many filters before it comes to me, for example, to use the data and create reports that decision makers can use it.
Yeah, it's very lucky.
Yeah.
I can tell you all the projects I've done, that doesn't exist in most places, if at all.
It doesn't.
I believe you.
Which part doesn't exist?
MDM?
Standard, I mean, standardization of data across systems is huge. Just stupid little things like Thea was just talking about. You know, like I said, when you take multiple tables and you're trying to find links and match them up, you know, data standardization, you know, address is one big one. So, you know, we do, you know, I do a lot of data migrations, and we always look for like a primary key, something unique. For contacts, a lot of times, you know, you can get away with maybe like an email address. But it's stuff like that, or you'll get somebody that'll say, well, addresses could be unique, or you could match on addresses, but you have to have a standardization across systems, because ST in one, and then you got street typed out in another. And that's where, you know, we started using, you know, it's when you can start using tools like Google Maps linked up to your system. So I don't know if you've ever dealt with some systems where they actually validate an address as you're typing it.
Yes.
And
You
they
ever notice you start
validate
typing?
against
Yes.
the post
Google
office,
Maps.
and then you have the ability to either accept that its format or do your own thing anyway.
Right.
But if you get that across multiple systems, that's now a data point that you can use to connect data across systems that you couldn't use before, because, you know, one system would have ST and the other one would have street, and computers are very stupid. If they don't find an exact match, they don't think about it. They don't consider it.
So, but I would say that we do have data consistency mostly in financial institutions. They have to maintain the data consistency, like in banks, like we go for asset management company, investment banks, all those stuff. So when I used to work in one of the organizations that was an investment bank, and this data consistency is very important because there are multiple applications accessing the same set of data, and it can't afford to disagree, right? They can't afford to be inconsistent across the different datas. So when it comes to financial institutions, we do maintain data consistency. But when it comes to other stuff, a lot of places, I agree, majority of them, there is no data consistency. You know, street, as you just, that's one example. Even the issues are with the name. Some store the name as first name comma last name, or some store it as last name comma first name, and then the system goes, you know, crazy when they don't find a match. So yeah, data maintenance is a very big task nowadays, with billions of bytes of data everywhere floating around. So yeah, terabytes. Yeah.
One other thing, Yulia, you talked about was knowing why you're doing the analysis. Figuring out what the question is more important than figuring out what it's the most important thing, I think. Because if you understand, I need to find the answer to this question, then you can go find the data to provide if you have the right assumption or not.
And choose the right algorithm for that.
Yeah, it's also important not to go into data mining with the idea that you're going to prove a specific thing, because if you do that, you limit your own ability to perceive what the data mining is telling you whenever you're looking at the analysis.
Oh,
But
well, I think that's true about anything, though. if you go in with a closed mind when you're doing research, you're gonna look for research that supports your theories and ignore everything else. So
it's true.
But yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah. You know, with any organization, it's always difficult to try to get new headcount. And with because I'm in healthcare, with healthcare, our budgets are really in dire straits because of the payer mix. So the reimbursement is decreasing all the time. And so in IT services, there are over 600 of us, but we have one group, the networking group, that is always very busy. And I'm involved a lot with the portfolio management for the projects. And I thought was something that was quite interesting is working with the resource manager for the networking group, because they are shorthanded and some projects can't move forward without them. And so they're stopping some very important projects. So what we were able to do, because of the fact that we use Microsoft Project and we use SharePoint and Project Online, and we're supposed to put our time in when we work on projects. And so his group is doing a good job. Not all groups do a good job, but his does. And so he was able to look back for the last year to determine that he's actually 3 FTEs short with the work that his group did the last year. And so his group is getting burned out, right? Because they're doing, up 1.5 jobs for full time. So I thought that was really interesting.
Right.
And truly was a data mine that he did know what he wanted to look for.
It's really great whenever you can use real numbers, real statistics to prove your case. When you go to management and you say, I think we need this, they're like, that's great. If you say, if we don't get this, this is the results, and this is how much money we can save. And, give them numbers and give them historical proof. It's a whole lot easier for them to get behind your cause.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're our chief administrative
one of the
officer,
biggest things,
real big on it.
One of the biggest numbers you can show people is how much turnover costs a company. In our company, like our data group, when we lose a person, to bring a new person in costs so much money because it's such a specialized thing, and they work harder on keeping you when it comes to that time, if they understand that, hey, you know what, you lose somebody,
it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt. Yeah.
I wonder how much on average it costs.
It costs like 1.5 times a yearly salary to lose somebody, the strain on the team, to the recruiting costs, bringing somebody on board that's not productive for 6 months, and having to pay them more than you paid the person before. It's just not worth it to lose somebody. Work on keeping your people and making them happy.
But most of the organizations don't understand that, right? Yeah, I'll be glad to work in an organization which does.
Yeah.
So
well,
Cliff, what's your company? I want to go there because it doesn't happen often.
I'm working for Republic Services, and I've never seen a more contented group of people that work together. It's a trash company. I mean, they get trash from all over the United States and part of Canada. And whenever I first was offered the job, it's like, do I want that on my resume? Yes. Yes, I do. I really am. I'm very happy here. No, seriously, we are
Waste
doing
management, waste
technology.
management, not trash company, waste management.
Yes, yes. But here's the cool thing. They have bought several other companies that do specialty environmental collecting. They're using technology to do things that a smaller company could never do. And I'm really impressed with the caliber of people I'm working with. And they work to make their people happy, even their contractors. They bring them in. It's not they're left out in the cold. So it's pretty cool. Okay, anything else for data mining?
Good conversation. Again, I will repeat myself, that book, Becoming a Data Head, it's very nice. Just read it and it will help you to understand overall, like at a high level. You will be more confident to have conversations with your team. Read
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you go ahead.
No, that's it. I'm done.
Okay, we are at 42 after, which is not going to leave Bob you very much time to talk about what you wanted to talk about. Is that enough time? We can fill with other stuff and you can talk about it next week.
6 and 1/2 dozen of the other. I could
Okay.
go either way. I could share a few extra comments about data mining, and so on, if you'd like.
I think that whenever you contribute, Bob, it's always very valuable. And so if you have other things about data mining, we would like to see it.
All right. That being the case, first of all, thank you, Yulia. That was special as always.
Yep.
And okay, there's use cases, but one thing I will say is, so can you all see that?
Yes.
Yep.
So I do weekly webinars every week for a different group, so they're all on my website. You can check out the slides and the videos I evolve. As always, when you watch me on video, please speed it up. Do not listen to me talk at normal speed. So one of the things I wanted to point out, let me hide this on my, this is the way, if you ever do certification through the IIBA in business data analysis. I had that cert for a little while. I let it lapse because I didn't realize you had to update it so quickly. It's kind of annoying, but it's not worth it to me to take the test. The way it said to go ahead and do these steps is just like the BABOK, right? So you have 6 knowledge areas which roughly go through the process of figuring out what the problem is and working toward a solution, right? And I say it in a different way that I think is more understandable. But the steps that practice area gives you, the document they give you to read, that's published by the IIBA, has these 5 steps. So identify research questions, source the data, analyze the data, interpret and report results, and use those results to make decisions and guide your business. So that is always important. One thing I noticed, the talk I gave earlier today was comparing and contrasting business analysis with many other practice areas. And they included project management, agile, process improvement, data analysis, which Yulia just spoke about. She spoke about one aspect of it, cybersecurity and systems architecture. So we've had guests address all those. And each organization has a way that once it figures out a good way to present all its data, it tends to talk about everything like that. So the way PMI talks about doing business analysis is going to be a little bit different than the way the IIBA does it, but that's fine. The more you know about different things, the better. So this is a more formal way of talking about exactly what Yulia said, and it makes sense that the information in the BABOK matches up with their other certification materials. It would be somewhat schizophrenic if it didn't, right? And the other thing is I wanted to share about 3 weeks ago, I did an updated talk on data. So it's almost an hour long, probably includes some good discussion with some other people at the end. And it talks about many of the things that Yulia covered and a few more. One of the things that's beneficial for me is I've always been a programmer from the beginning of my career, as well as an analyst. So that really gives you some insight as to how the other half lives. And Cliff has done a pile of this stuff too. So he knows all the nitty gritty, the ins and outs. The presentation that I've linked talks about different kinds of data, different things you can do within different levels of abstraction and so on. So it's available if you want, and if you want to ignore it, that's totally cool. I think the 4th or 5th talk I did in this recent series is on software. So it talks about how you automate all that stuff. Maybe I pointed you to that before. And the other thing I'll say is that when I was in college, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, I did a nominally artificial intelligence-based project. And they were talking about AI in my commuting classes. And it was all tree-based pointer structures and relationships and trying to figure out how to identify objects and or relate them to each other. And really, I've watched AI and paid attention to it for 40 years, and it's very artificial and it's not very intelligent. So calling things AI, thinking you're going to have autonomous stuff that defines what you mean and does stuff, very limited in that. So what you have is like these large language models. They're really fascinating. They're really a glorified kind of autocomplete. And based on, and I noticed the autocomplete on my phone is getting better and better. Or maybe I type the same thing over and over because I'm a crashing bore. But those are all things to think about. So there's a lot going on. I'm sure you all have your own stores and interfaces with data in your own wounds and so on. So please feel free to share your stories. And
Yeah,
done.
well, I agree with the AI. AI is an arbitrary term, but anything like that is only as good as the data set you point it to.
Mhm.
So, and that's what people don't understand. It's like they turn on AI and they use the internet as a source for it. Well, there's a lot of garbage out there, so garbage in, garbage out. They talk about all the biases that come back from that kind of stuff. Well, it's based on the biases that are out there. So, it's as good as the data set you point it to.
Funny news. I think like 2 weeks ago, so there was a news about ChatGPT. So a lawyer used ChatGPT to find a cases which he could use to present for the case. And he did a query, find me these cases on this topic. Chat found it and like, are you sure these cases are real? Chat says, yeah, our cases are real. So the lawyer takes those cases, bring to court, started to debate, and turn out those cases are completely fake.
Yeah,
So it's
I
you
heard that
know
news.
what I'm talking,
Yeah,
right? You read about it.
means
Right.
it's astonishing how the entire thing went up on the fake news, because the chat GPT was using the fake news as its database, right? It's trash and it came out with trash. So
Wow.
it's dangerous. And to add to Cliff's point, it's just not the data set that's important. It's also whom you are giving that information. Because now you just ask anything to Alexa or Echo and they give you everything. And if a child asks, you are not supposed to just say everything, right? There has to be some filtration done. But they they yeah, and
Alexa,
sometimes
how was I made?
Yeah, right.
it's dangerous too, because there was a case when a 6-year-old child just you put in the live wire, they touched the live wire because Alexa dared them to do it. So
Mhm.
that's dangerous because they don't know who's asking what and they just say anything.
Mhm.
So it's dangerous. I
Wow.
just don't like AI. It's dangerous.
It's important when you're working with AI like ChatGPT to figure out how to ask the question properly to get the answer you need. You can ask the question 16 different ways, but only one way is going to get you the answer that you need. So that's really, people say, we're going to lose our jobs to AI. You're going to lose your job to somebody who knows how to talk to AI. So it's important that you are educated as to what it can do, and it can do a lot of stuff. It can do new stuff every day, which kind of exhausts me, trying to keep up with, just being generally knowledgeable about it. But you can use it for data mining. But I really appreciate Excel, put it in my spreadsheet where I can see my boundaries and do my own counts and do my own formulas and see where my errors are. And it's a contained thing. Whenever you start throwing stuff into a data lake and you don't know where else some of this stuff came from, or how valid it is, or who proctored it, or what kind of data governance was done, you have to really be suspicious of it.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned Excel, because I'm working on a couple projects right now where unfortunately the data sets are hundreds of millions of records.
Mm-hmm.
And you just can't do that in Excel. Some of these smaller projects, it's like, oh, you got what is it, 1.2 million rows. But once you exceed that, you have to find something else. You
And
can't do it.
2 gigabytes or 2 terabytes on some.
You switch over to Python whenever you get past that, but
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
You
too
have
much
to
Excel
write
and
scripts and parse it by hand. So
Yeah.
Excel will have temper tantrums and shut itself off and do all kinds of stuff. It turns into a toddler.
Yeah. Well, that's when I put it in a SQL database if I can. but
Yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
specialty. But yeah, there are other tools out there definitely to parse and look at CSV files that are just absolutely huge. We got one the other day. I've never seen a 3 gig CSV file export. That's just, and I've been doing this for a while, but 3 gigs in a CSV file, pure text file.
We
That's
had
just huge.
simulations that would output animation call outs that were that big.
Yeah,
So,
it's scary.
yeah.
Has anyone else had any data mining experience that you'd like to convey to the group?
I know different industries do different things with their historical data. And different ones, like the paper industry, is notoriously secretive about its methods and its data, whereas the steel industry is somewhat less so. And data is becoming so ubiquitous that they can track the history of an item. If they send you an I-beam or a coil, they know its pouring history, its chemistry, its heating history, and its rolling history, and everything it experienced, and where it was shipped to, how long it sat in the yard, what weather it experienced when it was shipped. I mean, everything. And if there's like an I-beam, if it fails, they can go back and maybe look at the history of what happened and what led to the failure. That kind of full life cycle tracking is going to become more common.
Well, you ever wonder how they do it with food? You know, they'll have recalls on certain food, but they're actually tracking enough of it that they know if this particular farm, this field has an issue, what products are going to be affected down the line when it hits the grocery store, and what to do a recall. I find that stuff amazing that they have that ability.
And 60% of the produce that is imported across the southern border comes through one port at Hidalgo. So it's on a major highway spine up through South and Central America, and different ports and specialize in different kinds of cargo and traffic.
That's
so
interesting.
There's data everywhere.
Okay, in the last minute, I want to tell y'all something that I've recently learned from my experience. Dun & Bradstreet, you've heard of them. They have numbers that identify everything. So in our master data management effort to try to identify which companies were related to each other, we are importing Dun & Bradstreet information. Dun & Bradstreet masters their data so tightly that they are reliable. So we're using their Dun & Bradstreet numbers to assemble a connection between our different customers to be able to identify this customer is related to this other customer, and maybe we should look at, serving them together, or, maybe they should be served together. But I'm really impressed with some of the stuff we're getting from Dun & Bradstreet. At the same time, Dun & Bradstreet, like all companies, has their own challenges. For instance, when we're looking at which fields we want to pull, sometimes they have the exact same definition for that field in multiple fields. And it's like, so which one do we want? You can have 5 different names with the same definitions. So you have to go in and actually look at your data. You can't trust people that, they say, oh yeah, we've got everything good. Go in and look at your data and be sure that you know what you're looking at. And before you represent it to somebody else's, we've done the analysis on this and here's your answer. You have to actually go in and see the data.
Yeah.
Okay.
And And just one last comment, like all of our e-commerce sites are not thriving on data mining only. Just by looking at the data, they bring out new promotions, they bring out new incentives, they decide which market to capture, which customers to target. So that's all data mining. It's all coming from the data.
It is. They know what you bought before. They,
Yeah.
I get text messages on my phone whenever I walk into a certain store and they're suggesting something I should buy in that store. It's like,
Oh,
okay.
I don't
So,
like that.
yeah.
Have we ever had a conversation talking about something and then all of a sudden Google starts sending you ads for it?
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
True.
it's
That's all.
I swear, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Just a
scary. I don't like
conversation,
that.
not even
It's
Google
all
it.
AI. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
AI.
happens. So if you don't want to be heard, unplug your Alexa, power down your phone, all
I
those
don't have
things.
an Alexa. Somehow they get it still anyway.
Okay, guys, we are at time.
Good
Let me see.
session.
We've got, yes, this has been a fantastic session, but it was because we had a good presenter. We had multiple good presenters. We also had people that spoke up and participated. So next week, we're going to have Renew is going to present Beta Dictionary. Thank you, Renew. And Ashish is going, I'm sorry, no, Bob is going to present use cases and scenarios. The week after, Ashish is going to present user stories. If
Ooh,
anyone here, let me share my screen. I'm so sorry. I
Ashish,
should
I'm
be
looking
showing all
forward.
yeah, share screen. Gotta mash both buttons. Okay, so this is what we do not have claimed yet. Balanced scorecard, benchmarking and market analysis, brainstorming, business capability analysis, business cases, business model canvas. Collaborative games, you do not have to be a BA to be able to do collaborative games presentation. Concept modeling, data flow diagrams, data modeling, business decision analysis, decision modeling, document analysis. If there's any of these that we have done and I didn't get it on the thing, speak up. Financial analysis.
So you can put my name for financial analysis.
Okay, Renew.
Yeah. So let me know when you want to get it done. I'll do that.
You give me the date. I'll put it in there. Okay, functional decomposition glossary.
Glossary also I can take. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what's been done so far.
Okay.
So glossary's been done.
Oh, has it been done? I'm so sorry. So that means you've done it, right, Bob?
Yeah.
I apologize, Renew.
Here's
No,
the
that's okay.
list
I have
of
plenty more,
what's
yeah.
been done.
Okay.
Is, in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
And
Let's see. We've got, this is what is identified as not having been done on the sheet. That's all I can tell you right now. Lessons learned, mind mapping, non-functional requirements analysis, observation, organizational modeling, prototyping and reviews, scope modeling, state modeling, survey or questionnaire, SWOT.
State modeling I can take, Thea.
Okay, Renew.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. And vendor assessment. So if you're interested in any of these, reach out to me and we'll put your name in here. I need to know two things from you. I need to know when you want to do it and how much time you want. 15, 20 minutes is pretty normal. What I need from you, though, is I need you to cover what's in the BABOK so that anyone taking the test knows what's in the BABOK, and any experience you have with it is bonus. So, you know, you don't have to make fancy PowerPoint. You can just show us the BABOK and talk if you want to do it that way. So we're not picky. What we want is to know you are participating and what your experiences are. And Bob, if there's something we need to update in here, let's get it done. Okay,
right.
ladies and gentlemen, we know what we are going to do next week. We know part of what we're going to do the week after that. We will see you here next week. And I really appreciate you participating. I appreciate you speaking up and being a part of this study group. And those of you who are watching us in recordings, let us know you're watching us. That helps us a lot. We have people literally all over the world who are in different time zones who are not able to join us here. And I get stuff on LinkedIn, at least on a weekly basis, that said, I watched your group in the recordings and I was able to pass the test. So we're helping people. Just let us know we're helping you, okay? All right, invite other people.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.